Most of the houses, they have their water gateways. All the entrances are towards the water, with one
Ours
difference.
is.
With one difference. This normal house, they are private apartments, they don't use anymore the water entrance. Of course, it's a source of humidity and maybe rabbits of the lagoon. Rats.
Rats.
And who is using the entrance? We will see now. Hotels.
That's ours. Our hotel has an entrance.
As one entrance. I know. Probably it's the ancient, but I don't know if it's the ancient one of the hotel, of the building or not. Look at the difference. These are the ancient ways of getting in and out, not used anymore, and this is of course the new one because of the hotel. What is interesting to say is that if this bridge was not built, and the other bridge was not built, and the other bridge was not built, people were really getting out from home using the water entrances and then going to the boat.
Because something's coming out.
Yeah, it's a sword, I think. Yeah.
That's why you don't get in the water.
That's why now it's not possible to swim. 60 years ago it was still possible. The problem is, not the biological remainings, but the washing up liquids, the chemical stuff. So in the past, people were using gondolas. Gondolas, they can make a shower. They were using gondolas not as a tourist ride like now, but as a means of transport. They were limousine of noblemen. They were having a little cabin as well, even to protect the privacy as well. Time of Giacomo Casanova, very useful. And tutto bene? Ciao, Vecchio. Sì. Guarda che elegante ciò. And African people selling bags are very nice and friendly. They are here since 10 years, totally integrated and so on. The annoying people is the people from Bangladesh selling stupid toys, laser, and they are annoying. And roses.
But you get in trouble if you buy them stuff, don't you?
Yes, but you should be in trouble even if you make my job without the license. And believe me, there are so many people illegally doing my job that nobody cares. Anyway, sorry to end because we need to go on a little bit. DHL. This is the DHL? Normally, yes, this is the logo of the DHL. Or not, these are transporting furniture. Sorry, maybe it was a former boat. I recognize the boat, because I know that is the boat of the DHL looking like this. This is a truck. And now they make probably just transportation of, who knows, private homes or whatever.
That's how they move.
And they use a little alley which is here. So these alleys were not really planned to be connected. They were just randomized in front of each other in order to have a bridge here. But most of the bridge are, a bit not really straight, just to connect two alleys that were not planned to be connected. These two alleys, they were just working as this alley in order to get from the neighbors, from the back of the building to the water.
Last night we were walking and we walked into a couple alleys that went right into the water.
And you found yourself into the water and you blocked.
Like, oh.
No, I'm joking.
No, and another thing is, which is interesting, we will also see later when we are in front of the Grand Canal buildings, all the main facade of the buildings, you can easily see here, they are triumphally towards the water. The back side of the building are simple. And this is, you make me an example, a good question before. When these buildings were made, before I told you that this is not older than 3 centuries.
Right.
Actually, this is older for sure. So the back, or the main facade, the back from our point of view, but now is the front. For sure, these kind of ogival arches, they are Gothic, so made 6.5 centuries ago. So it's a combination between old and new altogether.
So do you know what this building is used for?
It's a private homes. I know because there's an agency which is inside, which often I go bring some vouchers and so on. But they are not public buildings. They are not used for hotels or offices. Only in this case, water entrance. private homes, not unless you don't have an eccentric person who want to have the road for leisure. All of these part side of the buildings, this was the hotel we saw. All these entrances here are the back ones. These are the back doors of the canal entrance.
I understand, yeah.
That's why you have narrow streets.
Yeah.
Now, shortly, we are going just to see very briefly from outside one of the most important theater in the world for the history of music especially, and not unfortunately not for the structure, because the structure was totally destroyed by a big fire in the 1996. This is the Teatro La Fenice, the Phoenix Theater. I mean, you're from Arizona, you have to see the Phoenix Theater.
Yeah.
You easily can see the interior of the theater from here. And you know the word Phoenix.
Phoenix, that's the
Phoenix
city we live in.
is the bird, the mythologic bird, the Egyptian bird that was dying and reborn from its ashes. And this is the destiny of this theater. The theater was built in the 1792, destroyed by a first fire in 1836 and rebuilt again, redestroyed by another fire in 1996 and rebuilt by the 2003. This is a typical Italian theater because of the palquettes. Palquettes are really separated, they are not galleries. Other typical old theater made in the French way, these were made as a gallery. Why in Italy they were dividing? Because these were rented by noblemen. They were like little rooms.
Suites.
Sorry?
Suites.
Exactly, like little rooms where they were doing whatever they wanted. Even because in the past, not now, was possible to close the curtain. So during the show, music and show was just one excuse to go to the theater. Other excuse was to appear, to be seen, to look the other important families, to make gossip, to make private meetings, and so on.
Dressed up? Really dressed up? Or not?
Okay,
formal?
you mean now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it very formal to go to this?
No,
Okay,
depends. If you go to the first representation, you might have people, especially now, which now is totally different. You know, now these are not anymore so requested places because you don't see very well. These are places where you can see the other palk as well, but not the stage. These are, of course, the most popular one. So when you are here, you are seen, so you are not going to use jeans when you go there. But you don't really need.
Do you think
to
he
go
did?
by a
You think he
tie.
did that on purpose?
Well,
As the photographer.
I didn't see. You're the first. You know, I'm taking here. I don't know how many hundreds of people I was taking in front of this. You're the only one pointing out this. No, I don't. I think not. Maybe yes, or maybe he chose this just because there was him.
Yeah.
Very nice. Bravo.
Babe, you're
I
not
have to
just
find-
anybody, babe.
No, believe me, you know how many hundreds of people, because I come here normally during the night to explain about the fire, into some night murder and mysteries tour, but I never saw this. Okay, thank you. Let's go on to the next. When the building was made, when the competition among the best architects of the end of the 17th century, 1792 was, they were making the requirement for this theater, they were asking exactly on purpose to have one of the two entrances towards the water. So behind the theater, we have another entrance towards the water. I don't know, I didn't tell you because I didn't know if you are loving operas of show. I'm not an expert of opera, so please don't ask me this. It's a 5 hours opera. After the first hour,
I'm out.
You close the gate. That's why they have those
that
curtains,
was
right?
nice. That was nice. You know? And later I tell you something interesting about the first thing. Anyway, some premiere important operas that were written and represented for the first time in the history of the world in this theater. For example, La Traviata and the Rigoletto by Giuseppe Verdi. You probably more remember, maybe the words are not, the titles are not saying anything, but if I do like this, I'm sure you heard once this.
Yeah.
This is a Rigoletto, and it was represented the first time there. Madonna è mobile.
It was represented here.
Couple of, no, 1 century ago, 1 century and a half ago, when still, you know, at that time, all Italy was with classes, you know, even the United States was still divided by humbles and important people. There's an old historian now in Venice, and he always used to say that his grandfather was attending the show to the La Fenice, to the theater, and he always kept the curtain of the box closed, and he was opening just at the time of the opera that he likes, you know, some, okay, and he said, shut up, I like this. So he was opening and then reclosing again. You know, it's like when we now hear some CD music and you say, let's go to the point I like more.
Right.
My idea, then it's up to you. When I make this tour, I'm not going back to the hotel. Why? Because for you it's wasting the time to go back to the hotel. So it's better for me to leave to a place where it's easy to go back. And since I see that it's almost a cinema, I mean, it seems made on purpose. If you want, and if you don't feel uncomfortable, I can, by 1 o'clock, I can leave you on some places, not one, some places where you can have a lunch.
Okay.
Which is not very easy to make, to find the right restaurant in the city of Venice where you have all tourists around, and people, as soon as they hear that you are a foreigner, they give you the lower quality food.
Yeah, that's what
I don't like that. That's the only thing I don't like.
It's one of the many bad things that are made by the fact that we have two economies, the ones for tourists and one for the Venetians. That's it. It doesn't mean that if you go to a location where mostly are Venetians, you're not welcome. The only thing is that the Venetians who never go to the tourist places. The tourist places, they don't care
Why told
about
him
quality.
yesterday we ate, where did we eat, honey?
By the Rialto Bridge.
But the Rialto Bridge and I took you for bread. I was like,
And you ate outside?
Yeah.
but we ate in one of the nicer ones though.
No, but this.
And we had just something small.
Later we go near St. Mark, near Rialto Bridge, and you tell me which is the place, because I need, review from the people like you. We have hundreds of restaurants in Venice. It's not easy, of course, to get updated with all. Very quick few information about this man. I told you before that Venice between 1814 and 1866 was captured and occupied by Austrians. The Austrian Empire was here, ruling as foreigners, of course, and anyway, Venetians were not accepting in the passive way this domination. especially by the 1848, there was a big rebellion, regaining independency for 1 year and a half, and the leader of this rebellion was this guy, Daniele Manin. They made, when he was then defeated, he went on exile in England, he was dying in exile. When the monarchy, when the Kingdom of Italy was then welcomed Venice and its territory, he was transported back, of course, his rests were transported back and buried near the Church of St. Mark, but they wanted to make a monument here in front of his house. He was living over there. You can read his name, Daniele Manin, over there. Why I'm showing you this? To tell you something about the history, but even because since you were asking me how old are the buildings, the buildings you can see again, they are a result of a long development, and this development can be traced even by looking on the bottom behind this monument. Oh. In order to make this monument by the end of the 19th century, of the 1800s, they were changing a lot this area. They were creating a big square where there was not a square. For example, these two bridges painted here, they are those ones. And this little alley is that one in front of us. So we are more or less standing here,
Okay.
where normally there was another building. All the darker buildings, they are destroyed, not existing anymore. So there was an house there, there was a big church, Church of San Paternian. It's a name which is not easy to translate. It doesn't exist. Paternian, even not in Spanish, I'm sorry. And everything was destroyed. It was destroyed also a very nice Pentagon medieval bell tower. All destroyed in order to build this monument. When you start to destroy something, then you won't finish very easy. Example, the building behind you. This is a building, again, built not more than 1 century ago. Again, the bank over there. This bank was built 60 years ago, and is one of the newest building really built in Venice. Maybe this is not that big building, but here, totally out of context. And this place
And it looks out of context.
Sorry?
It looks out of context.
It looks.
Yeah.
It's very bad. Very, very bad.
His beauty is older too. Part of
Let's go first here. The little hidden snail staircase.
So what is this area called?
Sorry?
Is this area called Academia?
No, this is two Academia. This
Two
is the way.
Academia.
Look,
Al
Al
Academia.
Academia is
Al
also
Academia.
written there.
Okay.
This is the direction. You have some main directions that are having some signs, Al Academia, and the other square you have two Rialto and two St. Mark.
Right.
I'm a little bit sick, I have to say the truth. That's why probably you can hear my voice.
my husband got sick too over there.
Okay.
The same thing.
Fortunately, we don't have to talk.
The first day we came here to go to a pharmacy, I didn't know we rang the bell and they brought us to the house and was like, ooh, this is nice.
The problem for you is that, especially coming from Arizona, is that the humidity here is very high.
Very high.
compared
Yep. Sure is.
with the rate you have over there. I mean, in the last couple of days, we had in the morning 100% of
Humidity. Wow. Wow, look at this.
Oh my God.
If I be in the shoes of the person living there, I would never put the sheets out like this, especially knowing that this is a place that is visited by thousands of people. This is a place that by chance now is almost empty. It's hidden, you don't have to go and you can't go anywhere if you go there, but of course guides know this place, and they bring even big groups here, 30, 40, 50 people at the same time. And so, what is this unusual place for? First, the name. The snail staircase. Snail because of the spiral shape. It's a bit of mystery. We don't know exactly when it was built, probably by the end of the 1500s. And somebody says that was, built in order to access, to go up the different floors of this building, which is forming like an L, which is not the real reason, because inside there is another staircase to go up to the floors. So, and the building behind was built a century and a half before. That's why the windows are partially covered. They were existing before. There are other windows that are totally covered by the structure of the staircase. So, for sure.
So nobody knows why it was there, though. Why?
No, we have some opinion. We have some theory about this. Since the facade of the building is the main one, was and still is towards the back, towards the canal. The nobleman called Piero Contarini wanted to have like a back triumphal facade as well, by not having a typical plain facade, but having some eccentric staircase. And he was deciding to have this, which is eccentric not only in terms of unusual shape, even because the last floor doesn't really go, it doesn't connect to any other part of the building, it's just a viewpoint. So it was mainly a romantic tower, full stop. This was a private courtyard, so probably in the past it was really surrounded by a higher brick
Nobody
wall.
can just go up there, it's private.
Now it's different. I mean, in the past, this is the way of the past. I'm still in the past. After, the crisis with that was affecting almost all the aristocracy of Venice, with very few exceptions, this building was given to a cultural association, which is now owning all the building, and they start a few years ago a big restoration, and still the staircase is closed. The manager a few months ago told me, yes, by the end of September we will reopen. I thought she was mentioning this September, I mean the last one, and not the next year one, but as you can see, nothing is open and is not really properly yet cleaned, the garden as well. Anyway, this is the right thing. What is also eccentric, for example, we don't have floors, but you can see that if you want to divide the spiral staircase into floor, you can see that between the first and the second, the second, the third, and the third and the fourth, you have different
Height steps.
steps.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Why? And this is probably because this man, Piero Contarini, was really drawing the project without being a very
Precise.
professionist and accurate. So
I
it's
like
a
it,
bit
man.
of a nice building produced by a very eccentric person that was not knowing exactly what he was doing here. What I also like to tell you is just, now I make you a little bit laughing, some illegal guide. That's why I'm also again of this illegal guide, not because of bad concurrence, but because they say stupid things to the tourists. I mean, you're not granted, you're not sure that all I told you is really correct. You don't study before these things. You're here to hear from the scratch, everything, So they say that these noblemen were going upstairs using the horses to get to, especially Piero Contarini, the builder, he was going upstairs to his bedroom using the horse. I don't know in which horse they had
Yeah.
in the past, but it should be like a pony carrying a dwarf to go
Right.
upstairs. For sure not fitting inside. What are all these wells for? These stones. I mean, these stones are all wellheads. They are part of the collection of the future museum is going to be established here by the Cultural Association I told you. The only original wellhead was that in the middle. Wellhead. Did you see many squares in Venice with this strange item, strange object? Maybe you didn't pay attention.
I didn't pay attention.
Now I'm sure every time you will be on a square, you will see it. If you come with me, we go to the other well, which is located here, and I tell you what was used for. So, this is interesting for me because this is a public courtyard and a public well. That was a private courtyard with a private well. All open spaces, courtyard, squares, little squares, they were having 1, 2, 3, 4 well heads. This is a wellhead. All the plants were added by the neighbors, so they were not originally here. Venice is a city surrounded by water, but no drinkable water. In the past it was salty water, now is salty and polluted, so don't drink. If you want, you go back to the place we saw before and you drink the water from the canal. Later I know the number of the first aid. And in the past, they needed to collect the water from the rain. That's why these wellheads, this is not a well having some source from the bottom, because otherwise it's still the polluted salty water. So they were having some holes, one is here, one is there, collecting the water. You can see the slope is facilitating drainage of water. The water has been filtered by the sand that was in the middle between the holes and the cistern below. The real well was underneath, below, a cistern. Bigger, with a bigger capacity. This is a small well, small cisterns. Sometimes you have big well with bigger cisterns. Cisterns that were even involving all the space of the courtyard. Twice a day, the water that was purified into the cistern, twice a day into the public well was possible to drink, morning and late evening. Late afternoon, they were opening, and it was possible for free to take as much as you want of the
They had to.
water.
You had to take it so it could fill up again, right?
No, to take and bring it at home.
No,
So,
no, I know, but they wanted you to take it so that when it rained again, it could fill up again.
Yes, the thing is that when it was a dry period, they had to
Slow down.
slow down and to make some limits. So this is not always they want to take, and also if the cistern is full, was always better for all the community. What is the difference between a public and a private? A private well, you had the owner that could say to the lady, to the waitress, "Can you please go downstairs and take me a glass of water?" At any time, of course.
So how is water brought into the city now?
Now, this system, and this is the end of the story, was working till the end of the 1800s. So all the wells were closed, and you can see, blocked, in order to avoid that anybody is maybe jumping inside. Now it's empty, we don't have water anymore. They were building a water plant on the mainland, a public one, a modern one, taking the water using pipeline to the city of Venice, and this is, a modern way. When you open the tap water is that water coming from the mainland. Suggestion: if you are scared about the tap water, you don't know whether to drink or not, trust the Venetian tap water, especially all the Italians, but even the Venetian, because if you ever bought one mineral water labeled San Benedetto with this name, San Benedetto, is the same water taken from the public water plant. The San Benedetto water is a source very close to our.
So when did you say they up until the 18th? That's when they put the water plant in.
The water plant was built, of course,
In the
by the
1800s.
end of the 1800s,
So-
and they were, of course, when it was all functioning, they were closing the rainy water.
So they had to run pipes to all the buildings too. So they did that in the canals. All the pipes run through the bottom of the canal.
No. Just using the lands. I mean, remember that below, under our knee, now we don't have the water we have
okay.
the Mabi
So they-
Islands. So they were using
Routes
as
anyway.
much as possible, of course, the places with land. Otherwise, you know, you have to escape very lower, if possible, of course.
Funzionano.
Now, we go to the center of Venice. We thought that you were, this is the house of my parents. They live at the fourth floor.
Really?
Fourth floor there, my apartment. I mean, their apartment. After you, I go having a lunch with them.
Oh, nice.
I'm
That's
not
nice.
taking you here because of them, you know. This is a place very nice regardless that. You were thinking that you were near St. Mark, which is the real
Tourist
of the
center.
city. No, the geographic center is another place. And it's not really important, you know, just for the fact that it has this, there's a sign, and the sign is very, very beautiful. So later I tell you at the end of the left. Yeah.
So do you mind me asking, did you grow up having, or did you grow up?
Is there a poor? Is there poor very well?
I came to live to this apartment when I was 8 years old.
Okay.
Before I was living on the other side of the city. Then from 8 years old, officially, to 2008, so a few years ago, I was living in this place with lots of breaks, like when I was in Finland working, when I was in Ireland working.
What is the what kind of work did your father do?
He was working in the telephone company, and my mother worked in the municipality of Venice.
And they're retired now?
Sure, both. Did you ever walk here?
No.
No?
See, that's why I think it was good to have.
This is a place. Now I show you three things that might be useful for you later. If you come here again, look the sign, Per San Marco. So now, following the sign, Per San Marco, you go back to the square, which is straight away from there. I know that ladies maybe reminds more of the shop, so this is the H&M big shop, just in case.
Yeah, I have one over there. That's nice.
Inside this shop, I invite you not to look the shop, but to look the column that you have over there to the right floor, to the right wall. Can you see the column?
Yeah.
Behind that column is marking the geographical center of Venice. So this is the really center of the city.
Interesting.
And
What is this square called?
San Luca.
San Luca.
Campo San Luca.
From Luca.
You can read over there, Campo San Luca.
I think we were here. There's a pharmacy around here, isn't there?
You want to go to a pharmacy?
No, there was. We walked over
Sì,
here.
bravo, over there.
Yeah,
To the left.
we went over. That's the first night we came. We walked over there.
Ah, good.
But we came. I think we. Calle de Fabri. That's the street we came down.
I show you from here. We still have 30 minutes, but I still show you some places in order you to give a more wide choice and more possibility. It depends on what you want to do for lunch, which kind of lunch you want to do. If you want to sit, if you want to stand, if you want to sit and quick, if you want to stand and slow. Stand and slow is not so nice, but anyway. First place, that Osteria, can you see?
Yeah.
It's a tavern. That is quite good place. Looks Venetian, and it's like Osteria means winery, wine shop. So it's focused on this kind of plates that are normally typical Venetians. So means
Authentic.
seafood.
Authentic.
Seafood.
Okay.
If you want more, you don't want to have a restaurant. You want to just sit having a sandwich or a toast or some more little stuff.
Right.
This is as well a bar which is working a lot with the people tourists of course, but with the people working in the municipality of Venice. Another little quite nice restaurant is this one.
Leon Bianco.
Leon Bianco. Later